Hey everyone, in this episode we are going to talk to Shubika Bilkha, an entrepreneur, leadership coach, and an author. She is a multi-talented personality. I'm very excited to talk to her. I hope you will have that excitement as well. Let us go and talk to her. Shubika, thank you very much for connecting with us. We all know that you have a very rewarding career. Can you tell us your life story from your own inspiring words?
Hi, I'm Shubika Bilkha, and since you've asked me to introduce myself, here goes. I'm a leadership and performance coach, and I also run a company called Ed Power, where we work with a number of executives, C-level leaders, people leaders, entrepreneurs, founders on their workplace behavior and leadership development. Prior to that, I've done a number of things. I've lived, worked, and studied in 3 countries. I started my career at Deloitte in corporate finance in London. I became an entrepreneur at a young age. I've run 2 early stage startups, and then I found my way into the space of learning and development. And apart from my day job, I also sit on the board of a global NGO that I'm very passionate about, where we work on empowering women in vulnerable communities. And apart from all of this, I author a number of articles on the topics of behavior, leadership, HR, education, and I've also published a book. And if that didn't keep me busy enough, I have a personal mandate to myself where I do one new qualification each year. If I'm going to be in the space of learning and development and telling you that you need to keep building and improving yourself, I need to be doing the same. And a little bit more about me. One of my philosophies in life, or as my Gen Z clients would say, my personal hashtag is a can do attitude. And I take that with me each day into every single thing that I undertake. I look forward to seeing you over the course of the interview.
Was there any moment in your entrepreneurial career where you applied what you learned from a corporate job? Because you have been an employee in some company for some time and then you moved towards entrepreneurship. So I just want to know if working in a corporate for some time, gaining some knowledge, and then moving towards entrepreneurship helps in achieving entrepreneurial excellence.
So I had a fantastic corporate experience before venturing into the world of entrepreneurship, and I was very fortunate to have had that experience at one of the most prestigious companies in the world, Deloitte. And I think the training, the investment in that professional skill building that they undertook in each one of us was just unmatched. And I think just that capability that was built, that discipline, that structure, the processes, the way of thinking, the way of behaving, the way of critically analyzing and problem solving just created such a strong base and gave me such a wonderful grounding for me to take to anything else that I would do in life. And I think also working in the space of corporate finance helped me to see and understand business, helped me to understand people, and just the way industries and the entire workplace functioned. So I think I had some amazing colleagues I worked with. I had some amazing peers, and my bosses, even till today, are really good friends and people I turn to as mentors. So I think apart from all the professional skills and capabilities that I learned, I think those relationships that I built during my time in the corporate were, sort of things that would see me through to life. And so I would definitely say that I've used that experience, I've used that network, I've used that base in almost everything that I've undertaken as an entrepreneur. And I think it really gave me that confidence to be able to go out there and accomplish all of these things on my own. So I would say that that experience that I had was unmatched.
There is always a misconception that all leaders are managers or vice versa. People think that way, that leadership and management are same. In your terms, how do you differentiate leadership and management?
So I have a slightly different perspective on this that may and may not be in line with what you typically come across in management and leadership literature. Because I feel that in the context of the workplace, or to the hierarchical systems or the promotion structure that we have, or performance, sort of evaluation structure that we have, um, concepts like leadership and management, or manager and leader, as per your question, are looked at in a very specific way. But for me, each one of us has to be a leader and a manager, because each one of us is responsible to successfully manage ourselves, manage our teams, manage our lives, and manage the situations that we come across, whether it's in setting processes, it's in getting things done, it's in taking responsibility and ownership. I think management capabilities and being a manager is something that's a responsibility of each one of us in the workplace. And then it takes me to the other space of leaders. And I think a lot of the times what tends to happen is we think of leaders as at the very top, and everyone else then becomes either a manager, and then everyone else is an executive. And I think that kind of hierarchical framework then requires that somebody instructs somebody to do something. And until that instruction isn't received, we don't really step up and step out and take initiative ourselves. So today's world is much more about being a self disruptive leader, being able to take initiative, being able to take ownership, being able to mobilize, being able to motivate. And especially when you look at the times that we're in that are so laden with uncertainty, that are so laden with crisis, that it becomes incumbent on almost each person to step up and be that leader. And I don't think it's that top down approach to leadership that's required. It's that leadership in each one of us that needs to come to be able to successfully see us through. And I think that inclusivity is extremely important, much more and more so in a time that we are in today in the world.
When it comes to people management, how do you think a good leader can communicate his vision, influence people, but without being autocratic?
I think leadership communication has always been an extremely important skill set. I mean, Warren Buffett has said communication skills is the most important leadership skill that you can have. And I think more so today, where there's so many different mediums of communication, online and offline, that it's become almost crucial for leaders to communicate effectively and often. And I think there's no longer a space for telling. It's about including. And being able to take that approach to communication will enable leaders to just personalize the conversation to each individual in their team or organization. Because the most important thing today is to get that buy in, to create that atmosphere of trust, to create that space of collaboration, to create that space of psychological safety. And I don't think we're in a time where if you just, sort of said something, it would be done. I think you need to be able to contextualize what you're saying to be able to really get that impact and that collaboration from your team and from your organization. So, and also I think communication, we focus so much on the verbal component of communication, but it's also the listening component that's extremely important. And online, I work with a lot of leaders on it, is about how your non-verbal communication is coming across using these online platforms, especially during work from home. So I think in times of uncertainty and crisis, one of the things is that we never know where our best ideas come from. So if we don't give enough of a voice and we don't create an inclusive space, we will miss out on that one idea that could really change the game and help us navigate this time of uncertainty. So it's always been important to communicate with intention, to communicate with vulnerability, to communicate effectively, to communicate frequently. But there's no more important time in the world than today, and especially when we're all working in our silos and working from